What's going on, guys? How are we doing today? It's Roleplay and just wanted to give you some insight on the upcoming patch and what will happen with the meta and with each class in general. So let's start with the Crusader. So Crusader got a huge buff to the Seeker of Light set and the so-called Hammerine build. It got a new reworked sword called the Faithful Memory, and now it increases the damage of Crusader by 600% for the Blast Hammer. And basically you switch it with the Furnace on the cube and you're good to go. The rest of the build is completely unchanged. And it's much more powerful, guys. They put a cap on it. It's now capped to 10 stacks. It was uncapped a few PTR patches earlier, but now it has a cap of 10. But it doesn't really change, dramatically. It has, several greater if low, but still very high, much higher than on live server. Very high, guys. So this sword is like, very important now. And actually in season 9, if you never played the Hammerine, it's like the best time to just go and play the Seeker of Light Blast Hammer build. It's now really good. The power of the build will be around Greater Rift 90-95, and most people in season will end, I think, with the 95 at the Paragon around 1400 or 500. It will be around 95. So this is it. We got an account amulet as well in the upcoming patch, but it's only good for some kind of weird speed farming build, for DBs farming, for Demon's Breath, for Death Breath farming. But the problem with farming Death Breath is just to get maximum Death Breath with the Arcana Amulet. You need tremendous amount of Paragon augments and completely insane gear. But for most people it's just not worth it, because at low Paragon you can't speed farm really, and just running a Pet Seeder and undergeared Pet Seeder at the lowest levels like Torment 10 will still give you more Death Breath than running this Arcana Amulet on Torment 13. Absolutely. And so the Arcana Amulet, in my opinion, is completely worth it. It's supposed to give some gear choices for Arcana and for speed farming builds, but in fact it just removes the Endless Walk Amulet, the Traveler's Pledge, and the Traveler's Pledge gives you 100% increased damage when you stand still. It's a great huge multiplier, and getting rid of that multiplier and just exchanging that for a poor Arcane's Amulet, it's a fucking waste of damage, and immediately dropping damage to compensate it somehow. And in speed farming build, it's very hard to compensate that. It's impossible. So you just drop your damage by 100%. So Arcana Amulet, unfortunately, is fucking useless at the moment. So the rest of the sets, the Roland's Legacy has got a buff. Let's see. Roland's Legacy got a buff. And if you followed my channel, you absolutely saw that sweep attack is much stronger now, around 5 greater if stronger now. It's pretty cool, and the damage reduction is fucking insane now. It's very good, it's so much toughness now. It's very hard to die now, and I really enjoyed the toughness when I played the Roland's Legacy and sweep attack. But the old problem still stays, a sweep attack still has a huge problem against single target when there's Rift Guardian. Without ads, you just relied on your flail, everything to recover sweep, and unfortunately you ran out of wrath, and you basically are starting dropping your health, and this is where the problem becomes. So The only thing that I want from the Roland's Legacy and Sweep Attack is some kind of bracers, or maybe something else like the belt or something else to give single target damage. Basically, Hermidine already has the bracers that completely solve the problem of single target damage. Why not introduce an item for the Roland's Legacy to help with the single target damage? I don't know why, and basically I guess they have no time to introduce such an item. They have no time to rework these items, and it just got, went an easier way and just buff something, and that's it. We just got a buff. Buff is good at this point. Roland's Legacy is a very enjoyable set for the Sweep Attack, but the buff is not enough. You need some complementary items to make this set work. Now the shield bash is fucking problem. It's terrible gameplay, like I said in my very old videos, like from several months ago. And the Flail of the Ascendant was still bugged on PTR, and I have no idea how they will transition to the live server. If it will transition with the bugs inside, then the shield bash will be completely unplayable on live when the patch hits. Now shield bash is terrible overall. I don't like it, and it's very clunky, terrible animation, charging into enemies and die. You can't control, you can't stand still. There's terrible ref problems. Even with the Pyramorella shield, you dump all your refs so fast, there's no way to recover. There's no item like Golden Flans which can recover your ref. So shield bash from my opinion is fucking junk. It's unplayable at the moment, and it was always like this. When there was Great Rift 40, it was no big deal, but at the Great Rift 80, it's a big deal, and you need really smooth composition of items and skills to make a smooth, solid progression. Shield bash just doesn't have this kind of items, and it just fucking junk. Now, what else? Invoker remains unchanged, and unfortunately it has kind of problems with the multiple targets. And when you hit the single target, it's no big deal, but the rest of the mobs, they kind of survive around you, and I do not really recommend pushing with Invoker in the next patch. It's a very solid set, it's very strong, has a ton of toughness, it's quite enjoyable, but I recommend Hermidine because it does much more damage, and it is much more fun, it's more action, and it actually does great damage to both single target and to multiple targets. And Invoker only strong against single target, it's very weak against multiple targets. So this is it, guys. Now let's go and talk about the Barbarian. So Barbarian got this reworked overpower belt, Saffron Rob, but people did the test and it's complete fucking junk. It's worthless, absolutely. The problem with this is it just increases your overpower damage and not all damage. If you could scale with some other skills and with the basic set, bonuses on the basic damage of the all damage that you do, it could be useful. But now Saffron Rob is just a fucking waste, not even worth spending time on it. It's just fucking junk as the overpower skill itself, unfortunately. Now the second thing that happened to the Barbarian at the last iterations of PTR is that the whirlwind changes. The whirlwind changed a lot, guys, and the change was like this. The Wraith of the Waste, whirlwind guess, the Dust Devils has been nerfed. Dust Devils has been nerfed, but all damage has been increased by 800%. This is like this is the old tooltip. They were too late to fix the PTR patch notes, so they kind of abandoned this, gave up this idea. So it's now 800% for all damage, instead of just the 2000 for Dust Devils. And the recent clears on PTR, guys, and the recent clears on PTR, they show that Barbarian can do the 90s now in season 90s, and a lot of people did the 90s. A lot of people did the 90s, and it's quite cool. And Archael did 96 with his insane Paragon, but he did it under 10 minutes, and it's very cool. That means that the build has potential to actually make it into 100. Greater Rift 100 with the waist set has been never done before, and it's like, it's a buff. No matter what other people say, the waist set has been buffed. It's still not as strong as the Rycore, and still not strong as I think that the Earthquake. I somehow doubt that Earthquake has potential to push higher. Oh, I think, but at this point, Whirlwind Wrath of the Waste is pretty strong, guys. It's pretty strong, and at around 1,600 Paragon with the augments, you can do 90, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Now, guys, the rest of the sets has been untouched. The Earthquake is still in the 90 plus. The Rycore, the classic Rycore charger buff, is still strong as it was before. The Legacy of Nightmares Frenzy, Taunts Frenzy buff is still strong as it was before. So the rest is I think all the sets are kind of aligned now all together. They are very, very close, with the wastes maybe a little behind all of this, little behind. That's the tiny, a tiny amount below everything else, but they are very, very like aligned at the moment. Now for the Witch Doctor, that's quite interesting. Witch Doctor got a buff to the Spirit of Arahir. Now this was very unexpected because Arahir was already pretty strong, and people used it as DPS meta in the current season, the season 8. And season 8 ends today, by the way. But I can perfectly understand why they buffed the Spirit of Arahir. Guess why, guys? Because, people use Helltooth for everything. Helltooth is a very strong universal set. You can be a pet doctor with a Helltooth. You can speed farm with Helltooth. You can play Fire Breath with Helltooth. You can play both in groups with Helltooth. You can play in solo with Helltooth Fire Breath. You can fucking do everything with Helltooth. You can play with the primary skills. You can play with the spender skills. It buffs fucking everything. And the time should come that Helltooth will be surpassed by the Arahir. They just did it to get rid of the Helltooth meta once and for all, and to make and what I really don't like about this buff, the only thing that they buffed just the damage, and the toughness is absolutely unchanged. And the problem with the Arahir, it's very hard to play solo because the toughness is around 30% lower than the Helltooth variant. And now Arahir is kind of fucking glass cannon and does a ton of damage, but it's just so hard to survive. It's super glass cannon, and people will absolutely play the Arahir now in groups. It's no doubt say goodbye to Helltooth in group play. So Arahir for group play in season 9 will be your choice. Absolutely no doubt here, guys. They just made it to surpass the Helltooth meta and get rid of Helltooth basically, and just leave it for some speed farming builds. Even the speed farming with Arahir will get better now, and I will test my old build, speed farming Arahir build, when the patch hits in January. I would like to see how good is this. Can I speed farm high tournaments other than tournament 10 or 11 with this? And it's quite a good for the game. It's good, buffing the underperforming set is good because it gives you more changes, you know, it just more diversity. And Spirit of Farahira always sucked for seasons and seasons. It was never good, and Helltooth was just good for many seasons. So they should have just changed, you know, changed. And this will change in the upcoming season when the patch hits. Arahir will be stronger than the Helltooth. Now the rest of the sets is absolutely unchanged, guys, so this is it. Now let's talk about the Wizard, guys. Wizard got quite a change, a couple of them. Now the first, the Demure set has been buffed, and the Desert Magnum Opus has increased by 800%. I personally tested this, guys, and it's still bad. It's still fucking bad. It's still underperforming. Should be buffed by around 4000% to make it viable. Unfortunately, Demure is still bad. You know, you can clear 80 with this, but 80 is so bad already in this game when you can go with Undergeared Firebird Archon and just breeze through the fucking 90, you know. And Demure got a buff, but still not enough, still bad. Just a little more damage for the underperforming set, but not enough, absolutely. That's pretty unfortunate, not worth trying this, guys. It's underperforming. But the Wizard also got this, the Manal Heal ring, and it's quite interesting ring, guys. It's very contradictory because, you know, it's pretty crazy ring because I read enemies stunned with paralysis also take up to 14,000 weapon damage as lightning. Now the problem with this is that paralysis skill is kind of, you know, retarded passive. You need to cast a lightning spell, then you proc stun on the enemy, and when you actually stun the enemy, it starts taking this increased weapon damage as lightning. But the problem with this, oh sorry, the music is still there. But the problem with this is just, first of all, you need the passive, the paralysis. You immediately take the slot with paralysis, and the ring itself should proc, and paralysis itself is a fucking proc. You need lightning damage to proc paralysis, and then the paralysis, it procs the Manal Heal, so it's like double proc, you know. It's fucking terrible in my opinion, procking another proc. And also because it's a proc, the Manal Heal can only be, you know, procced by the actual skills and not by the items like the Odin Suns, the Fulminator, the Shadow of Hate, the Weird Ward. So the gear cannot proc paralysis, and for that reason a lot of items, they simply do not work with the Manal Heal. They do not proc Manal Heal. Only the actual skills proc Manal Heal, and there are not many skills that can proc the paralysis effectively. There's like no couple. It's Electrocute and the Arcane Torrent because they are channeling spells, you know. And this is it. The rest, the rest attack speed is too low, and you just can't proc paralysis effectively because paralysis is 15% proc, guys. 15% chance to proc paralysis, and for a couple of, for just, you know, a second, you are starting to proccing the Manal Heal. It's pretty strange gameplay, but you know, it does tremendous amount of damage. This weapon damage is no joke, and I will show you this in the upcoming build as I already did, and I will show you just when the patch hits, guys. It's quite interesting. So this ring is very contradictory, very clunky. It doesn't proc from the gear, it only procs with the attacks, but it still does interesting amount of damage and provides an interesting interaction. People use it with the Tal Russia and Veer set on PTR now, and already 102 Great Rift has been cleared with a high Paragon. But unfortunately most damage comes from the Archon. I did a non-Archon build at the moment, and I will present you when the patch hit. Is quite interesting, guys. Now the rest for the wizard is completely unchanged, so this does the two important changes. Now for the monk, guys. The monk had this item, revoked Rabbit Strike, but unfortunately is complete fucking junk. Not worth it, guys. Unfortunately, it's as terrible as the rework the Barber. Oh, I completely forgot about the Barber and Witch Doctor. You know, I forgot it because they turned it to the fucking garbage, guys. They tried to rework this. They tried to rework the Barber, but unfortunately they reworked it into complete useless piece of fucking garbage. That's what happened with the Barber. It was overperforming for several patch iterations, and they started fixing and just completely fixed it to a point where it became useless. And it's the same as on live server. It's just 75 plus, maybe 80 if you have 4000 Paragon, but that's about it. The Barber is fucking garbage. But let's get back to the monk. Rabbit Strike is also garbage. So now, out of all 6 items introduced with the rework PTR patch Boop 2.43, only 2 items will be quite usable. It's the Faithful Memory for the Crusader and the Mental Heal for the Wizard. These are just 2 items that are relatively useful. The rest is fucking pure motherfucking ass garbage. This is what these items are. This has been tested. Rabbit Strike is complete shit. Now, oh, I forgot the Demon Hunter, guys. Sorry about that. Completely sorry about that. So now the monk. The monk also got a buff to the inner set. And I've seen 96 clear on PTR with the inner set. No, Inna is a great set. I really like it. I always wanted to play it, but never had the time. I watched the clears and I really enjoyed the idea of the pet monk. It's absolutely fantastic. But this buff, it's just not very life-changing for the monks. I checked the clear and it was 96 with 4000 Paragon monk from Korea. He cleared 96 really fast, but unfortunately it's only for non-season. For seasonal gameplay, Inna's mantra is completely useless. It's just not worth it because there is LTK monk, there is Generator monk who performs so much better than the Innas. And Innas should be buffed by much more percentage than this. This buff here is not enough, unfortunately. It's not bad, it's something, but it's just not enough to make Innas worthwhile. Unfortunately, this is it. Now, the Demon Hunter. I think the Demon Hunter got one of the most important rework items here. They got the Hellcat Waist Guard. And now it's a grenade item, guys. It's a grenade item and it's kind of interacts interesting. It interacts with the cluster arrow, with Rain of Vengeance, Strafe and Rapid Fire. That's very interesting. And I don't play Demon Hunter at all, like it's a mole now. But I've seen that Vodijo did a ton of tests for the Demon Hunter and the Hellcat Waist Guard. And also I would like to mention that the Marauder has been buffed. 6 beast set bonus has been increased by 400%. And Vodijo said that the Marauders will be on par with the Fan of Knives Legacy of Nightmare set. Well, maybe Fan of Knives set will be a little higher than the Marauders, but Marauders got buffed by this 400%. It's now very, very close. You know, Marauder is a favorite set of mine of the past for Demon Hunter. I played a lot of Marauder in the past and I actually enjoyed the cluster arrow, the multi shot, the companions. Absolutely fantastic. I like Marauder and I'm glad they buffed it. And now with the rework Hellcat Wasteguard, that's so interesting gameplay, guys, so interesting. It's actually quite cool and I recommend you to try this one in Season 9 if you haven't played this. And if you haven't played the Demon Hunter, you should try the Hellcat Wasteguard with the buffed Marauder, guys. It's fucking amazing. I really like this idea and I really like this rework the Marauder set. And they just said that this set with the rework Hellcat Wasteguard can clear up to 96 on seasons. And it's quite crazy. 90 plus, 95 plus from Marauder is amazing. And you know, it has potential, guys. Now for the Greater Rifts in general, I would like to say that in the upcoming patch, they applied a couple of fixes during the PTR to the Greater Rifts in general. And at first there were many small monsters there and it was very hard to play. They just surrounded you from all directions, wrecked the shit out of you. Now this was very problematical to survive. But then they started tweaking it. They reduced the amount of tiny mobs like the Fallen Shamans and Warps. Started adding the fat mobs in the game, in the Rift. And made it more tweaks to the density and something like that. And now I can safely say that the Great Rifts are kind of fine, guys. Now there's a good mix of fat mobs and the small mobs. And overall, each layer of the Great Rift is like almost the same. If you want to fish for the perfect rift, the fishing I think is higher now because almost every layer of Great Rift is fucking identical. You know, you cannot get unburied rifts now. You cannot get Silver Spire with the Golgors now. It's all in a history now. Every Greater Rift now is almost identical. And not only that, but you know, every Greater Rift layer is not the same now. You cannot get now 2 Silver Spires now. It's a very rare chance to get things like this. You can get Silver Spy and get you get the fucking sewers and get the fucking, you know, Ruins of Corvus. You fucking quit the game. So it's quite fishy now. And if you thought that fishing in the current live server is a lot of fishing, and it is a lot of fishing, but in the upcoming patch the fishing will be like fucking crazy. Absolutely, you know, it's very hard to get this huge amount of fat mobs, even though they are kind of aligned and transitioned well across the rift. Unfortunately for the most people, and on the top end the rifts will become more fishy than this, but overall it's a much smoother experience. Like you can it's just easier now. You know, if you see the Ruins of Corvus or the Kib's Death, you just quit the game, absolutely, and just don't go there. But if you got something else, you just go and try it. You know, you just not quit immediately, because you know every layer of Great Rift is about the same now, almost the same amount of progression on every layer. So it's not worth leaving the game as much as it was in the live server in 2.4.2 now. So I think overall it's an improvement for Great Rifts in general and for gameplay. I would really like to know what people would be writing about the Great Rift changes in upcoming patch when it hits actually in Season 9. This will be very interesting, guys. Now guys, looks like I covered everything what the patch will bring. Now as for the meta, the last things that I want to say about the meta in Season 9 and the upcoming patch, I think it will be absolutely the same, but with the only change that people will get rid of Helltooth Firebats and there will be just the Spirit of Aura here as the DPS in the 4-piece and the 3P in the 4-player and the 3-player meta. They will be Aura here, the Barb and the Monk. They will also be the Generator Monk, I think, but I have doubts about that. Might be 2 Fire Bat Doctors now, because the Fire Bat got such a major buff. So I think the Fire Bats are super strong now, absolutely. And I'm not sure that they will be a Generator Monk now. But in general, the composition will be the same. It's the Monk, the Barb, and the Fire Bat's Dog, and the Generator Monk. It's about it. And the 3 players will be, I think, the Fire Bat's Dog, the Monk, and maybe the Generator Monk or the Barb as well. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon.